Hi, this is Ryan McReynolds, an individual with autism who ran for state representative in the 94th district in the primaries in election 2012, and I previously ran for some other offices before as well. Anyways, I am here to talk about the shooting that happened in Connecticut and the fact that the media reported that the shooter happens to be on the autism spectrum. I also want to talk about the fact that every time a shooting happens, the media blows it out of proportion, and instead of, placing the blame on the person who did the crime, the media wants to scapegoat and say that, oh, it's the fault of the gun, it's the fault of the manufacturer, it's the fault of, let's see, they'll say it's the fault of the NRA. But you know what? Evil has been on this world before there was ever any organizations made dedicated to any forms of weapons. I know some of you would be saying, well, if your own family member got killed by a weapon like a gun or something, you'd be blaming the weapon or whatever. And I'm like, that's a load of bunk, because you know what? One of my uncles was murdered in 1987. His name, Doyle Lester Hart. He got murdered either July 30th or 31st of 1987, depending if the murder happened before or after midnight. And it wasn't with a gun, it was with a hammer. Now, did I blame the hammer? Now mind you, okay, I was only 8 years old at the time. I'm 34 now. But no, I didn't blame the hammer. I didn't blame the company that manufactured the hammer, and I still don't blame the hammer or the manufacturer of the hammer. In fact, I don't even blame the National Hammer Association, if there is one. There was only one person I blamed, and that is a sociopath named John Grooms, the one who used the hammer to kill my uncle. Okay? I didn't blame the weapon itself, or the manufacturer, or any organization. No. And you're probably thinking, you sound like a naive man. Well, you probably remember the Columbine shooting, and Rachel Scott being among those who got shot. Well, her dad, Darrell Scott, testified before Congress, and what he said was stuff that loads of people didn't want to hear, but he spoke the truth. He commented that when Cain killed Abel, there was no such thing as a National Club Association. And that's true, there wasn't. There was not such a thing back then. And that's not all. The club that Cain used to kill Abel was not at fault for Abel's death. The one at fault was Cain. Cain made a choice. Because basically what happened was that Cain and Abel both made offerings to the Lord. Abel offered out of faith, but Cain didn't show any faith when he made his offering, so it's no wonder God was not pleased with Cain's offering. But God tried to counsel Cain and say, if you do what's right, then, things will be fine for you, but, if you keep up your action the way you are, it's going to consume you. And not only did it consume him, he decided to kill Abel. only to then see the gravity of what he had done. I noticed just how much Abel's blood cried out. But no organization called the National Club Organization was behind this. No club could be blamed. No one who made the club could be blamed either. It was all on King. King made the decision to do this to Abel. Likewise, throughout history, all sorts of people have been slain by all sorts of weapons. They were slain by swords, arrows, spears, knives, rocks, cement, chairs, desks, stone slabs. The list can go on and on. And there's all sorts of things that you can use as weapons now. People have been killed through hit and runs, as in run over by a car. Yeah, I hear people, whenever there's a shooting, I hear people say, only military and police should be allowed to own a gun. You know how much stuff gets used in crimes? It's not just guns. Computers also get used in crimes. What? Should we declare that only police and military are allowed to use computers? I'm sure you'd say no way. But say that only police and military should be allowed to use guns. That's also like saying only police and military should be allowed to use computers. In fact, there's a country where only the elite get to use computers, and that's North Korea. I mean, seriously. If you're looking to be all that safe, just like that, on all this government control, you might as well live in North Korea. You'd be much happier there. Sure, the police will be watching you all the time, even if you have to go use the bathroom or take a shower, but, you know, that's basically how it is over there. I mean, seriously. Do you want to be filmed in the shower by the government? Or filmed using the toilet? That's what you're asking for if you say only police and military should be allowed to own a gun. Besides that, you know, all these laws out there, they don't really, you know, it's like putting all these restrictions up, don't really stop criminals, you know, as history has shown. I mean, from 1919 to 1933, we banned alcohol. But you know what? That didn't stop consumption of alcohol, because alcohol was still brought into this country. Speakeasies operated. One of my great-grandfathers, John Todd LaPurge, was on the New York City Police Department. He was bribed with free booze so that he wouldn't arrest the people that were operating the speakeasies. He actually ended up becoming an alcoholic from this, because he would drink the free booze and then kept on heavy drinking even after he was no longer a cop, even after Prohibition was over with. And so, guess what? He became an alcoholic during the Prohibition. And likewise, you see all sorts of drugs floating around in this country in spite of how illegal they are. I even went to the funeral of somebody that died from a heroin overdose. I'm not going to say the name of the individual, out of respect for the individual's family and all that. But I will say that there were other heroin-related deaths in the area at that time. And, I mean, here's the thing. That stuff, along with all sorts of other drugs, are illegal, but people get their hands on it anyways. On top of that, Mexico has really super strict gun laws, but guess what? a good portion of our illegal guns come out of there, just as much as the illegal drugs that are in this country. And there are all sorts of drug cartels operating in this country right now, and they're not just dealing guns, they also deal guns. They deal drugs, they deal guns, you know, whole 9 yards. In fact, it is noted that most of the guns used in crimes were never legally purchased to begin with. They were stolen. The guy that did the shooting in Connecticut, he stole the gun from his mom. The gun that killed Kayla Rowland in 2000 in Mount Morris. It was a stolen gun. In fact, the real owner of that gun reported it to the police as stolen a couple of months before the shooting happened. Because basically, the thing of it is, guns have serial numbers on them. And if somebody reports it as stolen, they report the serial number, the model number, all that, so that if police find it, they can return it to the true owner. Although, if it gets used in a murder, then it's obviously not going to go back to the true owner. But the true owner will be notified exactly what happened to it. And about the saying that the individual was autistic, well, let me say this, most autistic people are not the kind of people that would, go for shooting up places or anything like that. You're not going to see me going out and doing that, no way. I mean, the only way I would ever even shoot anybody is if it was self-defense, but I hope and pray to God that I never have to do that, okay? I hope I never have to do that. I pray I never have to do that, And I hope anybody watching this is never put into that situation either, because I can imagine just how hard of a situation it would be and how hard it would be to have to pull the trigger on somebody. Especially if your life is being threatened. Of course, there was that so-called expert that was saying that autistic people lack empathy, and I was like, this person is not an expert, and I feel like this person was smoking crack and probably smoking the same crack as so-called expert Jenny McCarthy, whom, I mean, well, I don't know if she ever smoked crack for real or not, but I'm like, she certainly sounds like somebody who is high off of crack with claiming that, oh, she cured her son's autism, blah, 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 and I'm like, he either has it now or didn't have it to begin with. Which one is it? Does he have it or does he not? Because bottom line, she didn't cure any autism like she claimed. And I think it is ridiculous the way the media will blow things out of proportion to begin with, or not get their facts straight, or put up all this garbage, like, yeah, now, they're trying to make it look like that, trying to make us autistic people look like we're a bunch of sociopaths when, the truth is we're not a whole bunch of sociopaths. In fact, anybody who knows who I am knows that part of why I ran for state rep was linked to Callista Springer, and the fact that when, I heard about her and all that, and heard about the fact that she was classified special needs and that she was chained to the bed like an animal only to die from smoke inhalation, and how mad that made me. I mean, when I watched the trial on True TV, I shouted at the TV over how she was treated. So, for this so-called expert to say that autistic people lack empathy, I am like, seriously. But what can I say? This world is full of people who do not think. And I also know that putting up these gun restrictions is not going to solve the problem. In fact, you know what? Over in Israel, there are actually teachers who are armed. And guess what? If somebody threatens the students, the teachers are able to shoot at whoever's doing it. And I can see why Israel has that policy too, considering how many terrorists out there have wanted to pull off Hitlerism on the people of Israel. Oh yeah, speaking of that, Hitler actually set up his country where only police and military were allowed to possess guns, and so, hey, guess what you're asking for if you say only police or military should be allowed to possess guns? What happened to 6 million Jews in Germany? What happened to additional people in Germany that also got sent to the death camps? And I could name a list of them too. Because also among people that got sent to the death camps were Slavic people. But I don't want to go any further because, you know, it's a really long list. But seriously, I wish more people would start thinking and using their heads instead of blowing things out of proportion. And I wish the media would quit blowing things out of proportion. I wish people would really take the time to do their research, take the time to study, instead of assuming things or failing to use their heads. Anyways, thank you for watching.